Hello everybody. In today's class, we are going to learn some of the basic concepts of Earth's magnetism. Earth's magnetism. Here I have drawn a diagram of the Earth. This is the Earth, and this is the geographic north pole of the Earth. And this is the geographic south pole of the Earth. And the line passing through the geographic north and geographic south is the axis of the rotation. Earth is rotating about this axis. Earth is rotating about this axis. Fine. Now, imagine there is a bar magnet inside the Earth. Imagine there is a bar magnet inside the Earth, and the line passing through such a bar magnet is called as the magnetic meridian. It is called as magnetic north because here is the magnetic pole. This is geographic pole and this is magnetic pole. And this is the magnetic north, and this is the magnetic south pole. Here is the magnetic pole. Since it is very close to the south pole, it is called as magnetic south pole. Why I am telling all these things is, it was in 1600, scientist by name William Gilbert, he said that Earth is like a big magnet. Earth is like a big magnet, and hence it has a magnetic field surrounding the Earth. It has the magnetic field. It has the magnetic field surrounding the Earth. Now, what makes the Earth to behave like a magnet? That is the question. There are different theories. And one theory is that within the Earth there is molten iron and molten cobalt in the liquid state. It's very hot inside the Earth. The temperature is very high. Temperature is very high. It is high enough. The metals like nickel, cobalt, iron, all such materials, all such metals, they are in liquid state. And they are flowing because of the motion, because of the flow of such metals, you will see the current, and because of the current you will have the magnetic field. Got it? Now coming to this, I already said this is geographic north and this is geographic south, and this is magnetic north pole and this is magnetic south pole. And the angle between these two axes, this is the geographic axis, this is the magnetic axis, it is around 11.3 degree. 11.3 degree. The world map. Geography means the study of Earth. Geography. So this is our country, India. This is Asian continent. This is African continent. South America, North America, here is the Australia, and here is the Antarctica. The study of different places of the Earth, the study of different continents, different countries is called as geography. Why I am displaying the world map is here. This is Canada. Canada comes in North America. Somewhere in this region, somewhere in the northern parts of Canada, you will see the magnetic north pole. And somewhere in the southern parts of Antarctica, Antarctica is in south only. In Antarctica, you will see the magnetic south pole. Magnetic north pole is lying in the northern region of Canada, you will see here. And magnetic south pole is in Antarctica. Got it? Now coming back to the discussion. Here, this line is called as geographic equator. A line which cuts into two equal parts is called as equator, geographic equator. And this is the magnetic axis. When you take this as the axis and draw a perpendicular line, and this becomes the magnetic equator. Now, the angle between the geographic axis and the magnetic axis is called as is 11.3 degree. Fine. So this is the just basic picture of the Earth's magnetism. It is just a model of magnetic needle. A magnetic needle, it looks like this. This magnetic needle has a north pole and it has the south pole. Imagine that now I am in Canada, in the northern part of the earth. Now I am in Canada. In Canada, if you hold the magnetic needle, interestingly, it stands in this direction. The north pole of the magnetic needle, it will look downwards because it is magnetic north pole. The north pole of this magnetic needle, it will look downward, it stands in this direction, and the south pole will be in the opposite direction. Because this pole is called as north seeking pole. Now I am in Bellary. Okay. So when I am in Bellary, if I hold the magnetic needle, it stands in this direction. It stands in this direction. Horizontally, it stands horizontally. Okay, and this pole is pointing towards the north pole, and this pole is pointing towards the south pole. In Bellary, the magnetic needle stands horizontally. Now I am in Antarctica. Antarctica is in south pole of the earth. It is in south pole of the earth. When you hold the magnetic needle, the south pole of this needle points towards the earth and north pole point towards like this. It stands vertical. Magnetic needle, it stands vertically in the south pole. And this end is called south pole because it is south seeking pole. As a result, when you are in Antarctica, magnetic needle will be vertical, it will be standing vertical, and the south pole will be down towards the earth. I hope you have understood the concept of the standing position of the magnetic needle. Now, we will see the elements of Earth's magnetism. If you want to truly understand the magnetism of the Earth, there are three important parameters that you need to realize. The first one is declination, denoted by the symbol delta. The second one is inclination or dip, denoted by the symbol theta. Horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field BH is the third parameter. First, try to understand what is declination. Declination is the angle between the geographic north-south axis and the magnetic line, a line which is joining the magnetic north and magnetic the south. There is certain angle between them, that is called declination. Angle between the geographic meridian and the magnetic meridian is called declination. What is the meridian then? In this figure, I have shown here is a plane which is painted in yellow color. This particular plane, let us imagine that is the magnetic meridian. Magnetic meridian, it is a vertical plane which is passing through the magnetic north and the magnetic south. A vertical plane which is passing through the magnetic north and the magnetic south, that is called magnetic meridian. And here one more plane, that is called geographic meridian. It is the vertical plane which is passing through the geographic north and geographic south. So there is an angle between them. There is an angle between the two planes, and the angle between those two planes is called declination, denoted by the symbol delta. Now, after understanding the definition of declination, we will try to understand what is inclination or magnetic dip. In any place, if you hold the magnetic needle, that magnetic needle, it does not stand exactly horizontally. It always makes certain angle like this. A needle will be like this, or needle will be like this, depending upon the position of the earth. So why it is so? Why it is deviating from the horizontal line? So it is due to the position of that particular place of the earth, and that angle is called as magnetic dip. I have drawn this figure. This is the horizontal line drawn at a place. This is the horizontal line drawn at a place, and this is the magnetic needle. This magnetic needle, instead of standing horizontally, it is making certain deviation from the horizontal line like this. And this, the angle between the horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field and the resultant field is called as magnetic dip theta or inclination theta. Now, here is the magnetic needle. This is the magnetic needle. This magnetic needle, here is the North Pole and here is the South Pole. When you look at this magnetic needle, this is not standing horizontally. It is inclined at certain angle. So this inclination, a small inclination, is called as magnetic dip. It is not standing horizontally. It is making certain angle like this, and that is the magnetic dip at the place. And interestingly, see, the magnetic needle is standing in this position at Bellary. But when you go to the North Pole, when you go to the northern parts of Canada where the magnetic North Pole has been situated, at that time magnetic needle does not stand like this. Instead, the magnetic needle stands in this way. It stands in this way vertically down. Here it has been painted red color. This red color where the point has been painted, that is the North Pole. So North Pole will look downwards because downward is the North Pole at Canada. Same thing if I go to Antarctica. Antarctica is at the South Pole of the Earth. Antarctica is the South Pole of the Earth. There the magnetic needle stands like this. The North Pole will be vertically up and the South Pole will be towards the Earth at the South Pole, that is at the Antarctica. Got it? So the magnetic needle only in other places it stands horizontally. It does not stand horizontally exactly. It makes certain angle that is called as dip, and that angle is called as dip angle. Now, coming to the third one, horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field BH. Horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field BH. Here BH, it is of the order 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. The horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field BH, it is of the order 10 to the power of minus 5 Tesla. Very weak magnetic field. Here I have written a mathematical formula. BE is the Earth's magnetic field. resultant Earth's magnetic field, or the total Earth's magnetic field is given by the sum of the horizontal component of the field and vertical component of the field. If you express in terms of only magnitude without any vectorial notation, it can be given as the Earth's magnetic field is equal to square root of BH square plus BV square. In the previous figure, I have shown you that BH is equal to BE cos theta. BV is equal to BE sin theta, vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field. Horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field, BH, is called horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field. This BH, horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field, it is of the order 10 to the power minus 5 Tesla. It is of the order 10 to the power minus 5 Tesla. Horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field, and this is the vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field. Now what we will do is, just I'll take one equation and the other equation. First I'll take BV. BV is equal to BE sin theta. I'll divide with BH. BH divided by BE cos theta. I have taken these two. Now this BE and BE get cancelled. Sin theta by cos theta is tan theta. Therefore, BV by BH is equal to tan theta. BV by BH is equal to tan theta. Vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field divided by the horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field is equal to tan theta. So these are the important elements with respect to Earth's magnetism. Fine. One is declination, the second one is dip, and the third one is horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field. See, if the dip is theta, then only you will get cos theta and this sin theta. This theta is nothing but dip. Here, theta is equal to dip. You should not forget this one. Good? So these are the important concepts of the Earth's magnetism. I hope you have followed these important concepts with respect to geomagnetism or Earth's magnetism. Well, now let's move on to understand various definitions related to the magnetism. The study of magnetism in physics plays an important role in understanding the nature of the materials. When you look at the materials in nature, you have thousands of varieties of materials. You have gold, silver, platinum, iron, cobalt, nickel, manganese, magnesium, water, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, so on and so forth. Given certain set of materials, based on their magnetic properties, you are asked to differentiate the materials. Before differentiating the materials based on their magnetic properties, first let us try to learn various definitions with respect to magnetism. These are the definitions that we have made. We, in the sense, the researchers, the scientists, have made in the due course of time. These are the 5 definitions. The first one is magnetization M. What is this magnetization M? Magnetization M, it is the phenomenon which has generated within a magnetic material. It tells about the degree of magnetization, how much a material has been magnetized. Take a material, keep it in a magnetic field. When you take a material, keep it in a magnetic field, how much it has got magnetized. So that is called as magnetization M. And this magnetization M is given by the magnetic dipole moment per unit volume. It is given by magnetic dipole moment per unit volume, and its unit is ampere per meter. In a simple language, you remember that you have taken a material and you have exposed the material into the magnetic field. When you keep the material inside the magnetic field, how much the material has got magnetized. It tells about the degree of magnetization. So that is called magnetization M. And its unit is ampere per meter. And it is defined as magnetic dipole moment per unit volume. Now, the second one, magnetic permeability mu. Permeability, mu is the symbol. Permeability is the ability of the medium to allow the magnetic lines of forces through it. In the air medium, what is the ability of the air medium to allow the magnetic lines of forces through it? In water medium, what is the ability of the water medium to allow the magnetic lines of forces through it? Take a jar of water, keep magnetic pieces at both the ends, North Pole and South Pole. Within that you keep water. What is the ability of the water to allow the magnetic line of force from North Pole to the South Pole? So that ability is called permeability, and it is denoted by the symbol mu. Interestingly, this mu is given by the product of mu naught and mu r. You have to remember this. Mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. Mu naught, permeability of free space. Mu naught is nothing but permeability of free space. Permeability of free space. Mu r, relative permeability. Relative permeability. Take iron. What is the permeability of iron with respect to the free space? Take copper. What is the permeability of copper with respect to free space? So that is the relative permeability mu r. Ability of the iron to allow the magnetic lines of forces is entirely different that of the copper. The ability of the magnetic lines of forces to pass through the iron is different completely with respect to water. So that is the relative permeability. Now, third definition, magnetic induction or magnetic flux density. Magnetic induction or magnetic flux density given by the symbol B. Both are one and the same. If I say magnetic induction or magnetic flux density, both are one and the same. Magnetic flux density. In the name only you can find it is the density of the magnetic flux. What is flux? Flux is the number of lines of forces passing perpendicularly through an area. Flux. What is flux? Flux is nothing but phi. Flux is nothing but phi. What is this phi? Consider an area. And these are the magnetic lines of forces. Magnetic lines of forces passing through an area. Got it? And this is called magnetic flux. And this magnetic flux is measured in terms of Weber. Number of lines of forces passing through an area perpendicularly is called flux. Flux density. This magnetic flux per unit area, if you take unit area, per unit area is called magnetic flux density and is magnetic induction, and it is called magnetic induction. Simply magnetic flux density is nothing but magnetic flux per unit area. Magnetic flux is phi, unit area is A. Therefore B is equal to phi by A. And therefore the unit of this magnetic flux density is, flux is measured in terms of Weber and area is measured in terms of meter square, and hence the unit of magnetic flux density is Weber per meter square. Weber, the symbol is WB, capital W, small b, per meter square. This is the magnetic flux density. Now, magnetic intensity H. What is this magnetic intensity H? Magnetic intensity H is nothing but the magnetizing force. See, you are taking a material and you are keeping inside the magnetic field. The field which is converting a non-magnetic material into a magnetic material. The field which is responsible to enhance the magnetization of a material is called as magnetic intensity H. So here is a material. This material is kept in a magnetic field. This is the magnetic field. This is the magnetic field. When you keep the material in the magnetic field, this material gets magnetized. Got it? Here is the field. A small magnet I have taken. I have taken a small magnet. Hope you can see this one, magnet. And surrounding this region you have a magnetic field. I bring the steel material. When I bring the steel material, it gets attracted. So that field is called magnetic intensity. And it has got magnetized now. How much it has got magnetized? That can be measured in terms of magnetization. And this magnetization is given by magnetic moment per unit volume. So in the presence of the magnet, it has got magnetized. Now I will show that this steel material has got magnetized. Since this steel material has got magnetized, it has got certain magnetization. I will bring this pin, and when I bring this pin very close to the steel material, it is attracting this pin also. Now the pin is not attracted directly to the magnet, but it is attracted to the steel material. So if I take out this one, basically there is a magnet. The magnet has produced a magnetic field. In that magnetic field you have brought the steel material. The steel material has got magnetized. Now I'll bring this pin. When I bring this pin very close to the steel material, now the steel material is attracting this pin also. That means steel material has got magnetized. How it has got magnetized? Because of the magnet. And how much it has got magnetized? That is given by magnetization, that is magnetic moment per unit volume. The field which is responsible to enhance the magnetization is called as magnetic intensity H. And this magnetic intensity H is measured in terms of ampere per meter. Both for the magnetization, the unit is ampere. Both for the magnetization, the unit is ampere per meter, and magnetic intensity, the unit is ampere per meter. Now, magnetic susceptibility chi. This symbol is called chi. Chi. K-H-I, chi. This symbol is called as chi. Magnetic susceptibility chi is given by chi is equal to intensity of magnetization M divided by the magnetic intensity H. Chi is equal to magnetization divided by magnetic intensity. So magnetic susceptibility means you have given a field. Let us say you have given 100% field. In the 100% field, how much it has got magnetized? Let us say it has magnetized 75%. So 75 by 100 is a magnetic susceptibility. Imagine you are given a 100 marks question paper. And how much you are answering? How much you are scoring? You have scored 80 marks out of 100. That's your percentage. Or you might have scored 50 marks out of 100. In the same way, you have given certain field, 100% field, that is H. How much it has got magnetized? Let us say it has magnetized 75 times. And that, the ratio is called as magnetic susceptibility. And this magnetic susceptibility is different for different materials. For diamagnetic material, it is very low and negative. It's very low and negative. It is in 10 to the power of minus 5, 10 to the power of minus 4, 10 to the power of minus 3. It is negative. It is lesser than 1. The susceptibility is low and negative for a diamagnetic substance. And susceptibility, it is low and positive for a paramagnetic substance. Susceptibility is very low and positive. And susceptibility is positive and very high for a ferromagnetic substance. Why the susceptibility is low and negative for a diamagnetic substance? Because it is repelled by the magnet. It is not attracted by the magnet. It moves away from the magnet. Therefore, it is negative. And it is very low and negative. Susceptibility is low and negative for a diamagnetic substance. Susceptibility is low and positive for a paramagnetic substance. Why it is low and positive? Why? Because paramagnetic substances are called weak magnetic substances, and they are attracted in a very slow manner when they are brought in the magnetic field. In a non-uniform magnetic region, the paramagnetic substance, it moves from weaker region to stronger region very slowly. That is paramagnetic substance. And susceptibility chi is very high and positive and very high for the ferromagnetic substance. Paramagnetic substances, example, iron, cobalt and nickel. So this is the susceptibility. Depending upon the susceptibility, you can classify the magnetic materials. And susceptibility is just a number. It is a ratio. It is just a number. It doesn't have any unit. Why? Magnetization unit is ampere per meter. Magnetic intensity unit is ampere per meter. Ampere per meter get cancel each other. As a result, magnetic susceptibility is just a number. It doesn't have any unit. So these are the various definitions that you should have a clear understanding with respect to these definitions. We will see the relation between permeability and the susceptibility. Permeability, the symbol is mu. and it is the ability of the material to allow the magnetic lines of forces through it. It is the ability of a material to allow the magnetic lines of forces through it. That is permeability. Then susceptibility. Susceptibility is nothing but, it is defined as the ratio of magnetization to the magnetic intensity. Chi. Chi is equal to I by H, or chi is equal to M by H. Here in the figure I have considered a solenoid. First I have considered a solenoid and it is having number of turns N. Current passing through the solenoid is I. Current passing through the solenoid is I. In the first case, without considering this magnetic core, you have to calculate the magnetic field due to the solenoid. Solenoid, the interior of the solenoid, at the center of the solenoid, you have a magnetic field. And that magnetic field is given by B naught is equal to mu naught Ni. At the center of the coil, what is the magnetic field? You know from previous chapters, you know what is the expression for the magnetic field at the center of the coil. It is V naught is equal to mu naught Ni. And this is equal to mu naught H. This is the magnetic field due to the number of turns in the solenoid. This is the magnetic field due to the solenoid in its inner parts. Now, within the solenoid, we will insert a magnetic core. We will insert a magnetic core. That means insert a bar magnet. Because of this bar magnet, you have the magnetic field. And that magnetic field can be given by the magnetic field due to the bar magnet Bm is equal to mu naught M. Intensity of magnetization. This is magnetization M. Mu naught is a constant and it is a permeability of free space. This is the magnetic field due to the magnetic core. This is the magnetic field due to this bar magnet, which is equal to Bm is equal to mu naught into M. Now, what is the total magnetic field? Total magnetic field B is equal to B naught plus Bm. And this B naught is nothing but mu naught H. And this Bm is nothing but mu naught M. Fine. And this B can be replaced by mu H. Mu H is equal to mu naught, take out common, H plus M. Okay, mu H is equal to mu naught into H plus M. Now, mu is equal to mu naught divided by H plus M divided by H. Therefore, mu is equal to, this is mu naught and H by H is 1 and M by H is chi. Okay, you can call this as equation 1. M by H, or otherwise I will split like this. Mu is equal to mu naught like this. Okay, mu is equal to mu naught into 1 plus chi. We know that mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. Equation 2. Compare equation 1 and 2. Mu and mu naught and mu naught. Therefore, mu r is equal to 1 plus chi. Mu r is equal to 1 plus chi. This is the relation between the relative permeability and the magnetic susceptibility. So this is the relation between permeability and the magnetic susceptibility.